fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Good evening and welcome to the Ozicar Skip Barber Series for Season 6, Round 2, coming to you from Lime Rock Park, the West Bend Circuit, which means we are tackling the very tricky and infamous chicane tonight over our 2 sprint races. My name is Ryan Jones, and alongside me, David Haynes and Jay Kennedy, as always, behind the scenes for this one. Going straight into the action, as always, David. Second round of a typical short and frantic Aussie car season. You don't get very long. You don't get very long to sort of get your eye in, do you? Who are the early favourites to be our title contenders?
Oh, it's funny because we had the sort of European takeover invasion last round, but that driver doesn't appear to be with us today. So that then presents a new opportunity for someone else. Whoever wins the first race tonight is going to be a brand new race winner in this season. That much is for sure. So I think that is exciting in its own way.
Certainly leaves the championship door wide open for a lot of people, and good to see a healthy field of skippies as well. 25 drivers, 26 you will see on the timing pylon. With race control, our live race control for this series in the server as well. Here's how they'll line up then for race 1. Alex McKellar will have Russell Clark alongside him on row 1. Ben Snell and Scott Barden on row 2. James Chastanoff and Sean Doyle starting 5th and 6th. Nathan Verney and Peter Wilkinson are on the 4th row of the grid. Stuart Crawford and Dennis Hancock make up your top 10.
They sure do. Then you've got Daniel Hedershide, Jason Fewens, Jeremy Bush, Tim Cornt, Ira Felberg, Braden Martin, maybe deeper in the field than we saw him at Silverstone, Simon Dobner, Isaac Summers, Dean Russell, Philip Backett-Soulis, Stafford Marsland, Mark Jeffrey, and the last driver with a qualifying time is Leon Williams.
Hopefully we'll see Darren Lassou and Cameron Cousins gridding up as well. Just hearing some pre-race banner on the grid. Talk of podcasts, making certain drivers faster out there. If we haven't heard the news, there is a new podcast in the iRacing land put together by Braden Martin and
Nathan Verney?
And yes, thank you. You rescued me. Braden Martin and Nathan Verney. It is called Locked on iRacing, and you can go and find it over on Spotify. I think is the easiest place for most people, but I think that's on most platforms. So go and check it out. I had to listen; it's pretty good.
I did old mate Justin Prince's podcast a while back, and I haven't been invited on any others since. So whoops.
There you go, guys. Invite David on your podcast. He has lots to talk about. And David loves good yarn. So there you go. That's your guest locked in for episode 3. I hear Ira's locked in maybe for episode 2. But let's talk about race 1 of round 2 for the Aussie car. Season 6 of the Skippy series. Lights out. Away we go. That's a pretty decent launch considering how even they normally are. For Russell Clark from P2. He's got himself alongside. Can he go around the outside of Alex McKellar? On the very long turn 1-2 complex, he's certainly trying to do it. And if he can keep the car there, he's got the inside for turn 3. He's done a fantastic job of that. Going to be on the wrong side of the track, though, for turn 4. And that's what I love about this opening complex at Lime Rock Park. It switches back on itself. It's a great piece of racetrack. And now we come into the chicane, David. Hold your breath.
Well, not quite yet. We go up the hill, and then it's
a
wacky chicane that doesn't get quite as much use. It breaks up some of the flow of what would otherwise sort of be a right-hand turning oval almost. the action is all around third and fourth, though, I think.
Yeah, 2 chicanes, of course, on this Long Rock Park circuit, and it's already caught me out which one we're using tonight. And they have all kept it on the road. This is arguably the trickier of the two. They're both tricky in their own right, in different senses. Talk about a run, though, as that was Ben Snell taking second and then first away down towards turn 1. So he got the ultimate slingshot move happening there on his teammate and then on Alex McKellar as well, as we completed lap number 1 of what is just a 15-minute opening race. Latching on to that lead group as well as James Chastanov through a 4-car breakaway as we catch our first virtual racing school replay of the evening. And this is the onboard shot from Snell as he came onto the main straight with a whole head of steam.
Just perfect run through the final corner, had a bit of a slipstream off his teammate. Probably got a better gear shift up into 5th, I think, than McKellar did as well. I think McKellar might have just not gone from 4th to 5th quite as quickly as you can in these cars from time to time, and that probably, in combination with the momentum, has let Ben Snell get a ripper of a run into the lead.
Look at that group behind as well. Sean Doyle's leapt out front. He started the lap 7th. He's now 5th. Is at 3 abreast behind. Just about Scott Barton, Stuart Crawford, Nathan Verney. Verney's pretty late on the brakes on the inside. He's got it crossed up and kept it pointed straight. Very conservative from Crawford in the middle. Just backing out of that one to keep his car in one piece. New damage model on this car is proving troublesome at the moment, and a few drivers are being a little bit wary of that as Barton throws the left sides off the road, coming out of turn 4, and it compromises his exit. Does it allow Verney a little look up the hill? Not quite. That's a really tough quarter, that one, isn't it? Because that crest really offloads the car in a really unnatural way sometimes.
Yeah, in practice, we saw it catch a couple out. It's going to catch someone out in the race for sure, because you throw the car up there, it gets light, very light at the crest, and then the track narrows with the grass as well. So many ways for it to catch you out.
Here we go again. Alex McKellar looking to take the lead back, and he'll do it pretty definitively with that little duck to the inside. It wasn't much of a fight from Snell. He recognises that this is going to be a theme throughout this short little race here. It's hard to break away, almost impossible without a mistake from the drivers behind. And Chastanov just sitting and waiting. Oh no, drama. Further back at turns 1 and 2. One of the 111 esports cars and the Black Sheep Racing machine of Jeremy Bush involved as well. We saw them both just rejoining from the inside. Can't see much damage on that car. I wonder if they've both just spun in unison or had a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Might grab a replay of that soon. So that's a bit of a loose exit from Snell. That might hurt him in the long run down at turn 1, because you're flat out through the last corner. So that exit back there, that's going to hurt him in a minute.
Almost an invert of a couple laps ago. Now it's Chastanov from 3rd with a huge run, looking for 1 position. Probably not going to get to the lead, but he is fighting in and amongst it, and it's close for these guys in the sprint race.
Yes, Snell really pinched him off on the entry there, and it forced Chastanov just to jam on the brakes a bit more than he wanted to. And it was actually good driving from Snell. Left the door open, left him a car's width, but not much more, as again he grabs the grass, and Chastanov has to use the grass on the right to keep his foot in it and keep trying to gather momentum. And as they keep racing side by side, they keep gifting time and track position to McKellar out front. He might soon break free of the slipstream if they keep this up through the chicane. Another big wiggle from Snell. Now Chastanov is through, and the gap balloons out to a second almost.
Yeah, McKellar would love to see that in his mirrors. The tightest part of the circuit, and they're trying to go too wide. Snell breaking traction at the rear, and Chastanov just sneaking through with second. Ooh, someone's going to rejoin at the apex of 1 here to get around. Braden Martin it is it?
Oh no, Stuart Crawford's found himself turned around. I wonder if that rejoining car had a part to play. No, he didn't. I've just caught the replay on iRacing, but there was a major dive bomb that came from about 30 car lengths too far back. You'll see it on the VRS replay. Look for Scott Barton, 4th car in line.
Friendly fire there, and it's just destroyed the drive on his teammate as well. He's got one wheel up in the air and going nowhere, so big damage to a couple of those 111 cars.
Yeah, friendly fire, and Crawford will be very displeased with how that one played out. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at something that we're picking up over our director's mic in the background. Some very well-timed chants from his son that are lining up quite well with what we're seeing on our broadcasts at the moment. But I'm sure his son is completely unaware of what's happening. So we're still seeing this battle unfold for the 2nd place, 3rd and 4th, the minor placings, because we saw that side-by-side scrap for roughly a lap, almost, wasn't it, between Snell and Chastanov. It gave a second to McKellar, and it was all we needed to get away from that draft. I mentioned earlier on, before that, it was almost impossible to break away without mistakes from behind. I could have elaborated, without mistakes or that happening behind, an actual racing sort of scenario.
Well, last lap, the fastest lap of the race was set by Ben Snell. This time, he actually goes a little faster even again. So he's skipping along right now. If I'm Alex McKellar, you're not comfortable. You're not comfortable yet. It's gone from 1.5 to 1.3 to 1.2. Chastanov, I think, just needs to give Snell a minute here, you know, a lap or two before he gets back on the attack.
They might be able to work together. A bit of slingshotting down the main straight could improve lap times of the chasing trio. As long as they're not battling through the corners, they could potentially catch McKellar. See how this plays out. He was the pole man, so in theory he does have the fastest car underneath him. Sean Doyle latching on as well, and 5th place is not to be discounted from picking up a spot late in this one either.
All right, strong from Doyle, and a bit scruffy from Chasty.
Oh, another car.
Tight squeeze. You hold your breath.
Crawford, that was, who had parked himself just before the touching point on the apex for the drivers, turn 1. Just kept himself out of the way as he rejoined after getting his spare car out, following the blue-on-blue contact a couple laps ago, as we see the live gap between Chastanov and Clark as we sweep uphill. Pretty sure that corner is actually called the uphill. And then what's into a very awkward braking zone. You've got to pull the car to the right to get through a bit of a kink. You also don't want to do it too much because you want to open up your corner entry, don't you, to the actual tight, almost 180 that then becomes a chicane. It's a really awkward piece of road up the top of the hill there.
Yeah, you've got to stay wide of the early part then to give you a wide entry through that chicane. And then I think the exit out of there and the speed that you carry through the middle is super important for the final corner as well, because obviously they're not entering the final downhill corner at quite the speed they otherwise would be. So it might be a little bit more limited by the preceding corner there as well. So it could be on a lap like this, lap times around about a minute, that, you know, every corner leads into the other, and your speed in that part halfway around the lap matters for your speed into turn 1 all the way around the opposite end of the track.
Look at this though. McKellar and Snell have closed up like you would not believe. I was looking at lap times further down the order. Looked away for a couple laps and, well, suddenly Snell's there. And suddenly Snell's alongside him. And suddenly Snell is back in the lead of this race.
And suddenly Snell's got the fastest lap of the race as well, a 1 minute 1.4. So he's really come on strong in the second half here, back through to the lead.
Great stuff. 101.41 from him on the last lap. A 102.0 from McKellar. Took 0.6 out of him and then some to go by. They've got 1.4 over Chastanov, so they found no time at all. They're still back where Snell was. So Snell's done all the work himself. And a little bit of that might have come from Chastanov and Clark having their own little battle for a little minute there, right at a crucial point in time.
Smoke signals from Chastity there, as he was on the limit of the grip, trying to brake and then turn a little more, and then also brake. And maybe you can see the remnants of some of it on the camera from Clark as well.
Does McKellar go by? Not this time. He was certainly close enough if he wanted to. I reckon he lifted out of that throttle long before he needed to get out for the braking zone of turn 1. So there's 3 minutes left on the clock. What does that give us in terms of laps left in this race? 2 laps left, I suspect, when we get to the line, as that's a poor exit from Snell. That's not the first time he's done that in this race either. Looking like a bit of a weak corner for him coming out of turn 3 or 4 there.
The ripping pace they're going, the laps are going to run out before the time does, so it will be 2 more at the line for Snell and McKellar.
Not often that happens in Ozicar competition. Oh, that's slow. That's foxy. That is 100% intentional from Snell. He was real slow coming out of that last corner, unless he got a slowdown. But
sometimes
that seems intentional.
You got to stop and Snell the roses sometimes.
His that time did not count, so he did get a slowdown, but I don't think that's the worst thing that could have happened to him. It means that coming on to the white flag lap, he's going to be in a position to pull himself to the inside of McKellar into turn 1 on the last lap. The best final opportunity to make a move. McKellar's going to have to block that inside line.
I think it's that left-hander in the chicane that's been causing me a little bit of problems, because there's a couple of times that his fastest laps didn't count either. I think he might have been abusing the track limits a little bit too much in this bit right here, particularly the left-hander, I think. But, you know, nothing in it. White flag waiting for them at the start-finish line.
He got it right that time, and he's got to run. McKellar's got to move it over, surely. But he hasn't done it. Snell's got to his inside. But apparently, it's still 2 laps to go. No, it is white flag. Be quiet, Director J. You're confusing us. White flag is out, and Snell has the lead. So McKellar, does he have a plan? Or should he have been more aggressive in blocking off that inside? Out onto the back straight, David.
Yeah, gosh, you just got to not make any mistakes if you're Snell, but we've seen he might, if pressured, grab that slowdown, and that'd be catastrophic on the final lap here. So I think he's got to put all of that to the back of his mind, and he'll be difficult to pass between here and the line so long as he just follows the racing line.
Oh, he cut it tight. He cut it really tight, and he's not as fast as he could be. He's left the inside open. Here comes McKellar to the line. Snell is slow. McKellar is fast, and McKellar is going to take out race 1 from Lime Rock Park on the final lap. The lead changed twice.
Well,
there you go.
Well, that was something. I definitely think we still got to wait to see everyone get to the checkered flag, and then if any drivers had a slowdown penalty that hadn't cleared before the line, we'll see all of that get adjusted, because I've got some confusing things I'm seeing on the timing screen for McKellar here. Obviously, just a couple of cars left on the lead lap to get to the checkered flag before we get the official timing and scoring, but they ramped up the pressure in the last 2 laps there, and we saw the lead change a couple times, and I think Snell cracked.
Well, I'm just looking at how he placed that car on that last lap, and he certainly had all 4 tyres over the white line on the final lap of the race, which is not what you want to be doing on the inside there. And it was just the same on the penultimate lap of the race. So that slowdown for Snell 2 laps in a row has cost him the race win. And McKellar, from the pole, didn't have it all his own way, but the record books will show pole position and a race win by a quarter of a second from Ben Snell in the end. James Chasanoff coming home in third, just beating home Russell Clark. I did spy in the back of the shot over those last couple laps. They were still dicing right to the end, those two. And then Sean Doyle bringing it home in fifth. Quite lonely in the end for him. Couldn't quite get to that battle in front. Nathan Verney in sixth. Jason Fewins, Daniel Hederscheid, and Dennis Hancock were pretty close as well. 7th, 8th, and 9th. And Tim Corn home in 10th after starting this one from 14th.
Then it is Wilkinson in 11th, Dean Russell in 12th, Jeremy Bush 13th after doing some off-roading, Ira Felberg in 14th, just clear of Stafford Marsland, Mark Jeffrey in 16th, Philip Bakatsulis, Leon Williams, and Simon Dobner was the last car on the lead lap. We did see a bit of 111 versus 111 action. Scott Barton in 20th, Darren Lasue 21st, Braden Martin 22nd, Isaac Summers 23rd, and Stuart Crawford 2 laps down in 24th.
So that brings us to the end of race 1 here at Lime Rock Park for the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. But never fear, there is another race still to come here on Simspeed TV. So stick around, grab a coffee or something. We've got race 2 coming up for you just after this.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today. Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Fortunes of many will change during the night. But already 12 have dropped out. But it's not so bad when you're the first car through like Paddy Hopko. And here's his main rival, Constantin and Alpha. Standard has been driven flat out from the word go, but it's still got plenty of steam.
Siamo quasi arrivati? Ancora 1 chilometro.
racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. This coverage brought to you by Simfinity Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving and presented by Simspeed TV. My name's Ryan Jones, David Haynes alongside me and Jake Kennedy behind the scenes. These are how the standings looked when we left round one at... Where were you at round one? I was...
GP Classic.
So that's where things looked after Silverstone. Christian Perez dominated, didn't he? But he's not here tonight. Ben Snell was well placed to pick up where he left off. But he's fumbled the ball a little bit. Could have won race one, but he's finished second. And the race was instead taken out by Alex McKellar, who you don't even see inside the top 5, and said he's ninth. So he's going to find himself bumping up the order a little bit. Nathan Verney, Martin, Alex John. A few new faces inside that top 5, which is good to see. Hopefully we see Christian Perez back at some other points during the season, and Alex John as well. Will be good to see.
Yeah, we spoke with Christian Perez after both of the races a week ago, so he knows where to find us, so I hope we have him back. He certainly seemed to enjoy himself a week ago. My memory does get a little hazy, but I think he did give us some good reasons why we weren't going to see him at every single championship round.
Has a job. Might be one of them.
Maybe like you, he doesn't like getting up too early in the morning as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was most of our off-air discussion. That was me complaining about my early get up tomorrow. If you ever wanted to know what SimSpeed commentators moan about in break times. So, getting qualifying underway for race 2. 4 laps, 10 minutes. Resetting the grid. So no one gets a free pass after a good race 1. No one gets to, no one gets kicked again while they're still on the floor. They had a bad race 2. Race 1, if you know what I mean. They get to try again and put themselves back up the front of the grid if they had an incident. So, I like the idea of 2 qualifying sessions. It's been very good across all our seasons. It's provided some interesting stories. We've seen some people really mess it up on the second go around. We've seen some people really get it right, because some drivers really seem to perform well after having, that first session and then that first race. They really find themselves attuned to the car and can put in a really blistering lap, David.
Yeah, what I'm interested to see out of this qualifying is knowing that in the race, quite a few of them were struggling with the track limits, with the slowdowns. There's absolutely zero tolerance of that in qualifying. You've got to be within the boundaries at all time on your qualifying lap for it to count. So that could actually make qualifying a little interesting if we see 1 or 2 of our drivers throw away a good lap and then not be able to string it together on their others.
Philip back at Sulis, Alex McKellar, all on laps at the moment.
The gnome not going anywhere, unfortunately, but he's providing moral support.
That flag was certainly moving. Looking pretty windy out there at the moment. I wonder if that'll wreak any havoc to these cars as they come through some of these corners up the hill. Cars could maybe get a little bit loose, as they're already loose as it is in the rear end. Always wanting to step out anew as the first times come up on the leaderboard. What does Alex McKellar do? Our race 1 pole sitter and race winner. He goes second, 3/10 away from what James Chastanov did. Remember, the times generally improve as the laps go on, so they'll get quicker on lap 2 and 3, and maybe again on lap 4 if they've looked after the tyres enough. Certainly an impressive early benchmark, though, from Chastanov. What can the Canberra man, Simon Dobner, do in car 17?
Who can make the sun shine? The Canberra man can, maybe. They're still a second away from sort of the laps we were seeing in the race as well. So you're expecting quite a few like McKellar, Chastanov, Doyle to keep improving lap on lap. And is this going to be an improvement? Just another 10th there.
Make his name rhyme.
Sorry?
Make his name rhyme.
Well, maybe come back on like lap 4.
Tim Corn, what can he do in the 16? He crosses the line and props himself up to 7th, immediately knocks back to 8th as more improvements come. McKellar is still only 2nd. Chastanov's looking good in this second session at the moment. Jeremy Bush has not had a good lap at the moment, so he'll be looking to really go well on his second and penultimate to last. Just ignore that last sentence. Simon Dobner, that's a better one. That lap puts him more in the mix and up into 15th. So his first lap was truly unrepresentative. Noticing McKellar is on a bit of a warm down cool up lap again on lap 3 here. So interesting from him. We'll see how his 4th lap stacks up with this interim 3rd lap. Stuart Crawford does a 3 flat. That puts him up onto the leaderboard in 8th place as Ben Snell goes to the top of the leaderboard on his final lap with a 1:02.1. Now here comes Braden Martin. Currently a 1:03.9, his best effort. What can he do? A 2.4. He goes 3rd. The final laps of these drivers are blisteringly quick. That was a huge improvement from the number 9 driver.
Good time for Vernie, for Doyle. That's from 13th to 12th. Not really what you expected. The guy was in the top 5 last race. He's almost qualifying terms swapped with Braden Martin, who was deep in the teens last race and is now 4th on the grid. He's qualifying, I think, is just about done. Chastanov improves his time, but not his position. So, wow, what a 10th qualifying session.
McKellar's coming. What can McKellar do? He's just in front of Williams in the proverbial racetrack and separate versions of the racetrack. They're in qualifying. What is it? 2:2.83 puts him 3rd on the grid. So behind Chastanov, Ben Snell really looking good in this session. Are there any late challenges, David? Nathan Verney, he's certainly quick. Is he quick enough? He's 5th at the moment. No, that lap is no good. It's slower than he's done so far. That's his session done. Tell you what, these times are ridiculously close. The field, the top 17 is separated by a second.
Yep, could make this important for Ewans then. 15th at the moment. And don't change that. Yeah. Practicing that pit entry. Love to see it.
This is about as tight as I've ever seen the Skip Barber field, actually.
Have you seen the Skip Barber pit entry video from Joseph Newgarden?
Have not.
In his actual junior career, he drove here in the Dodge Formula Skip Barber Race Series or whatever it was, had a crash in the final corner where he went on the grass, spun out, spun towards pit entry, and then at speed, spun through, slotted the gap into pit lane here and nearly hit some people. It's amazing. It's on the internet, obviously. But it shows the kind of mistakes you can have and all of the unconventional pit entries that could happen here.
It's not the easiest pit entry to get into, especially when you're racing other drivers. You're trying to get through that last corner at speed and then bring it down very quickly into an awkward grass-lined pit entrance. Ben Snell improved his own time, by the way. Somewhere in all of that. But second through to 20th, 1 second between them, and Ben Snell has 0.3 on the field in that regard. That is just ridiculously close. The closest I've ever seen the field in the 6 seasons of this competition. So what a race we've got coming up. Snell has the pole. Chastanoff is alongside. McKellar will start from 3rd. Braden Martin will start 4th. Nathan Verney and Dennis Hancock share row 3 of the grid. Daniel Hedderscheid and Russell Clark share row 4. Scott Barton and Tim Korn starting 9th and 10th.
Indeed. Then we've got Stuart Crawford, Mark Jeffrey, Peter Wilkinson, Sean Doyle in 14th, Jason Fewens in 15th. Those guys, I would have thought a better qualifying was likely from them, but what a lot of work they're going to have to do in this longer pit stop race. And Stafford Marsland, Jeremy Bush, Ira Felberg, Philip Bakatsoulis, Simon Dobner. And then we've got qualifying times from Dean Russell, Isaac Summers, and Leon Williams in 23rd. No qualifying times from Darren Lesueur or Cameron Cousins.
Again, same 2 drivers that didn't set times in race 1 qualifying either. But they did get to the grid, as far as I'm aware. Lesueur is on the grid at the moment. Cameron Cousins is not. So, 24 laps expected ahead of us, or 25 minutes, whichever comes first. A lap should come before the time in race 1. We've got to add a pit stop to the equation this time. 2 tyres required. You'll want to take your fronts, otherwise you're in for a world of hurt. So there's not much strategy there, but the strategy is in when you come in and take it. Just waiting on the last of the drivers to grid up. I think it's Cameron Cousins we're waiting on. Hopefully he makes it to the grid, or we can get this immensely tight field underway. There it is. Race 2 from Lime Rock Park is underway, and it is a good start from your front few rows. Everyone gets away cleanly, and they all move across to the inside for turn 1. Single file for the front 4. And then Verney having to race against Dennis Hancock, because there is an incident in the back that's checked up a lot of the field, half the field getting checked up by that, as I think that's one of the 111 esports cars that ended up stranded on the inside, and someone has had to escape back to pit lane. Jason Fewens, by the looks of things. Ben Snell is side by side on the run up the hill with James Chastanoff on his outside for the lead of the race on lap 1. This is going to be interesting into the chicane, David.
Yes, for sure. Good work by Snell. I think he had the right line on the entry to then be able to chop back a bit, but it's checked everyone up.
Pit lane.
They sort of split one each way, reverse zip opening up there as they come towards pit entry.
Chastanoff, Hancock, Barton, Korn, Bush, Felberg, Bakatsoulis, Summers, Russell, Lesueur, all into the pits on lap 1, leaving Snell and McKellar to fight for the lead. Little gap back to Martin and Verney, little gap back to Clark and Hedderscheid and Crawford. If I was Snell, I'd want to come in with McKellar here. Would not want to leave James Chastanoff to his own devices out there, because look at the gap he's got. He's got no one around him, no one to battle with. He has the potential to put in some very quick lap times right now if he gets that car hooked up.
No one to keep him company but him and that gnome on the inside of turn 1.
Of course. But they don't respond straight away. It's down the main straight we go. Look at McKellar filling the mirrors of Ben Snell. Not close enough to make a move on that occasion. We have got another car on the lane, though. It's Daniel Hedderscheid, who is 8th at the moment.
Someone was taking rear tyres there.
I think that might have been Fewin still in the lane from his up-on crash. Might have taken all 4 tyres.
A little.
Hope he was taking all 4 tyres.
little less than optimal than to go with a start that wasn't what he thought. And often, when they're not quite ready for you on the pit lane, you can end up with a different service than you would have if you'd been thinking further ahead and made the conventional pit entry. Sometimes you get caught out on that one with the tow truck. Oh, there's an incident. Is that the exit of turn 2?
What? Whoop! Oh, that's unlucky. All right, who was the unlucky victim there that had to spin out an avoidance? Virtual Racing School will tell us the tale.
You do well in like a Roman Colosseum or something. You were baying for blood there. Not entertained.
So he was helped around, and there was a big checkup there. Back at Sulis was probably the man to blame, unless that car in front was slowing. Everyone behind him did a good job not to as well turn him around, because they were all over the back. Yeah, that car was slowing, in fact, in front of back at Sulis. There wasn't much he could do, but look how close they are behind him. Then another car came around into the picture and was so committed to the corner, they just couldn't react, and they spun out when they saw that car stranded. And unfortunately, it seems Jay hasn't been able to quite catch a replay of it. Wow, don't get so defensive, Jay. He seems scolded there, David. I think I've scolded our director, David. He's unhappy.
What's Cam Dance doing, Jay? Why isn't he here? Anyway, we just surpassed for the lead.
Wow.
McKellar.
Wow.
Both of them have yet to pit. And so the fact that they're battling is great for James Chastanoff. I've got to keep an eye on what his lap time is looking like, but McKellar and Snell battling will be good for him.
So 2 tenths between them, 1.7 to Verney, 2.2 to Martin, 3 seconds to Clark. The first car with the pit stop is Chastanoff. He's running 9th. He's 29 seconds, behind at the moment. And just keep a reference of that gap, because if they don't pit for a little while, it'll be interesting to see whether that time comes down, goes out, or sort of stays static at 29.399 to be perfectly exact at the moment. Good little fight right here for 13th between Bush and Korn. Just heading through the chicane at the top of the circuit. Heading down the hill now through the final corner. Opportunity for Korn to get a run if he nailed that exit. Pull to the inside maybe. And turn 1. Flat on the brakes. Could be able to get this one done.
Keep in mind, both these guys are pitted, so this could shake out as a battle inside of the top 10 as well. Good and decisive move from Tim Cornt there.
Yep. That should be a move inside the top 10 for him. He started this race from 10th as well. Jeremy Bush started this one from 17th, so they started from very different places, but they've ended up together as Ben Snell gets himself back into the lead of this race. I did spy the mistake from McKellar way back at the uphill corner. He ran very wide, had to get out of the throttle, and I suspect that's the catalyst for that eventual overtake from Ben Snell. Change of lead. Battle for 9th is pretty lively as well. Verney, Hederscheid, Barton. Down the main straight, Verney has got Hederscheid to his inside, Barton watching on from behind. They've got a lapped car in front of Jason Fewens. Let's move completely for Hederscheid. Almost 33% of the way through this race, and Hederscheid puts himself up into P9. Still down a couple spots from where he started. Still waiting on a few drivers to make stops. Wilkinson, Leon Williams, and Marsland are the 3 drivers who are out of positions. We catch a VRS replay of Wilkinson, who's actually just had to take a tow back to pit lane. Another incident. right on the group we were watching. That was what happened to Wilkinson. And we're going to need to queue up a replay of Nathan Verney because he's just been collected by that lapped car of Jason Fewins that I called out just a minute ago. Fewins spun at the chicane, and Verney just had nowhere to go, David.
Did the damage, and that's doubly bad because he'd already made his required... sorry, no, hadn't made his required pit stop yet. Okay, maybe that could get him out of a bit of trouble. We're going to look. Just that a little bit of a wiggle over the crest as everyone is doing, and then we come to the west chicane, and no.
She was committed to that inside line, and as Verney was spinning, no opportunity for... Sorry, as Fewins was spinning, no opportunity for Verney to change up his angle and straight into each other they went. Ben Snell leading from McKellar. The gap they have over Chastanov, 29, well, now 30.2. So it's gone out by a second. So they're doing well at the front, Snell and McKellar. Despite that change of lead, it hasn't slowed them up at all. They've actually found a second over the 42 of Chastanov. So he's going to need to find a bit of time, I think, is the man we're watching right now, the man from Melbourne, Australia. Most of the people in this field are from Australia. All but one. We don't speak of the place where the other one's from. Heddershide, that is, being the non-Australian driver from that place. Fielding.
Good cuzzies across the ditch.
Fielding in that country. Sorry, Cameron Dance just made me so repulsed to them.
You're really going to blame a whole country for one man's actions? I've already forgiven Austria.
Did you seriously go there?
Yes, I've seriously been to Austria. Lovely place. A lot of sand.
Okay.
No, I know.
I'm moving on quickly from this. Almost halfway through this race, and we are still awaiting how many pit stops? 6 by my count. Thank you, Jay. 6 stops. Is that smoke signals up at turn 1 we just saw in the distance?
Yeah,
yep.
Isaac Summers.
I'm a big fan of the new smoke effect on iRacing.
Have you noticed the way it even gets, like, instead of just dissipating in the spot, it kind of gets caught in the breeze now as well?
I've certainly noticed how blinding it is on the ovals. Like, it is full days of thunder spec now when you're trying to get through a wreck. It's wild, man.
Well, stop causing so many and you'll be able to see more.
Trying to get through the wreck, man. Not trying to, well, if you cause a wreck, you don't have to worry about getting through it. So, it's a win-win situation.
It's the Chick Hicks strategy.
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, there's some defensive driving from Tim Korn. Moving it over down the main straight, trying to shake that draft that Jeremy Bush has picked up. Dennis Hancock as well. This is a battle for 12th place. And it served him well. He kept the spot into turn 1.
Yeah. Good source of frustration for Jeremy Bush and Dennis Hancock behind. Had a pretty rubbish pit stop time from what I can see, actually. He probably deserves to be in front of these guys, but that is the reality of a race with a pit stop in it, is you've not only got to nail it on track, but you've got to nail when you do the pit stop and nail the pit stop proper. Leon Williams, it's his turn to do that, looking for his lollipop guy and his crew who are enjoying the shade.
This stop will elevate the Korn and Co battle up inside the top 10. In fact, Bush was looking around the outside, wasn't able to find the room, and Verney was firing out of pit road right into the racing line. We've seen that many times tonight. It's an awkward pit exit here at Lime Rock Park, and it's even worse when you're actually racing out of pit exit when you're in a longer endurance race and you can't afford to just wait off on the apex like that, or it's multi-class racing, things like that. Luckily, we can afford to wait on the apex tonight. We aren't seeing any incidents in that area as Hancock gets a bit of a run thanks to Bush's error up the hill. There's an error though from Tim Korn. Wrong spot for Jeremy Bush though, wasn't it, David? He got all sorts out of shape and it allowed Hancock, the best one of them all, 3 wide down the main straight.
Yeah, they're all wrong-footed. Trying to come across the cover it, Jeremy Bush realizes he's too late. So Hancock, he was so close to getting his right rear tag there as well. So he's been a very, very lucky, fortunate boy in picking off a couple there.
Yeah, Hancock really tried to throw it up the inside, and I think very late on realised that's not the best idea here, and backed out of it. So he falls back 2 spots, and outside of the top 10. Jeremy Bush now is up 7 spots in this race, making him our biggest mover, not including Marsland, who's up 13, having not pitted yet. Another new name to the series this season. Also is up 11, not 13, I can't count. 11 to go. Chastanov in 6th.
He's not going fast enough.
Yeah, he's 32 seconds back. You can see the lap time comparison there. Losing about half a second a lap, David.
Yeah, which is a lot here. Half a second was a lot in qualifying. Half a second a lap is a lot in the race here as well. You called it out, 29 seconds off the leader in Snell. What he needed to do was hold that gap or encroach it a little bit with the undercut. It's not happening. He's 33 seconds back now. Starting to get mired in a little bit of traffic.
Mired? He's almost had an enormous incident with Marsland. They actually touched down the back. Straight there. Made a wheel-to-wheel contact. Got away with it, but that's probably cost him another second at least. Finally gets by. Probably not a battle they needed to have. Marsland should have rolled over and let him go, recognising that one of them is pitted, one of them has not, but deal has been done yet, as long as Marsland doesn't try to fight this one, and I think Chastanov is just being a bit wise here in defending the inside, just in case.
Yeah, still not optimal though, because he's gone and done a 1 minute 3.1 compared to a 1.7 for Snell, so it is even worse.
McKellar. Oh, I thought he was coming in. He juked me out there. Took a very shallow line into the exit of the final corner. But we still await their stops with 9 laps to go at Lime Rock Park in round 2 of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series Season 6 on Simspeed TV. The battle for 10 is still alive. There's only 13 cars left on the lead lap, by the way. A combination of the short track, great pace, and lack of stops from the top couple of drivers.
I think it's fair to say that a couple will get back on the lead lap when Snell and McKellar make their laps, their pit stops that are going to cost about 30 seconds. So there's a couple that will get back on the lead lap later, maybe.
Awkward scenario for Vernie here. He's got a bit of pace, but he's got a bit of pace and maybe could chase down Peter Wilkinson, who's just up the road. But he's got these 3 cars battling for position right in front of him, a lap ahead of him in terms of timing. So he's probably just unfortunately going to have to wait it out and accept that he's not going to get to Peter Wilkinson unless the door opens up for him very nicely. So 4 cars in that train, but 3 of them battling for position. One of them a lap down right now as Barton and Hedderscheid still close for 7th on the track. Lots of little battles right around this racetrack. Lots of drivers have been locking up, sending up the smoke into that chicane, but only a couple incidents up there so far. Big gap just opened up between the leaders, 1.4 seconds. One of the bigger gaps we've seen tonight, actually.
Yeah, Snell has the hammer down. McKellar a little off the pace there, because at some point they're going to need to pit, and that's when Snell is really under pressure if he's not, a second or some clear of McKellar. Snell can lead as many laps as he wants, but if McKellar was just within 1 second behind him when they came to the pit stop, you know, you roll the dice on that 50-50, you might get jumped on the lane if it's just a second in it.
Yeah, you might get a better pit stop time. It's a bit random, that, isn't it? Pit stop times are not always identical. They're not always the same. Doesn't really matter what you do there. I do think it has something to do with the way you pull into your box, so there is a bit of your input in it.
Definitely does seem like it's often a little bit slower if you're, you know, quite far forward or quite far back, or at a skewy angle. That can add a little bit of time. Also, do you ever notice there's any changes to where you are laterally within your box potentially?
I haven't noticed an issue. Well, yes, but I do run a lot of NASCAR races where they have actual pit crews that you can not actually run over, but they will just not perform the pit stop if you run through them. So there is that issue laterally.
New fastest lap of the race from Ben Snell as he works on building that gap to McKellar. Could be real critical. Braden Martin's also going to pit from 4th as well, so with just a couple laps to go, yeah, we're going to start to see it all get back on the cooking with gas. Get a bit hot towards the end again. Was someone on pit road there wearing plaid?
I think Braden Martin's pit crew does wear plaid. I think I saw a post about this a while back. And I think I just saw Snell get held up a little bit by lap traffic as well. I also think Braden Martin's been in pit lane for a long time.
Saw him disappeared.
Well, he's disappeared, actually. Ooh, just looking at this now, McKellar's going to get murdered by this lap traffic. Oh, he's caught few on the exit. Snell caught few on the exit of a corner. It held him up for maybe a fraction of a second, not much. But McKellar caught him just off the apex and had to sit behind him until they were clear of the corner. Early catch, Felberg. Felberg was really nice. Snell, he pulled away before the entry, and now Felberg is going to park it right on the racing line. That was awkward.
Yeah, it really was. Again, tightest part of the circuit there.
I'd pit here, David, would you?
I mean, I would have been open to the suggestion. It could have been a good time. But it's not happening for Snell or McKellar.
After losing that sort of chunk of time, would it have been a good time to to get that reset and maybe try and perform an undercut on the leader of the race? While you've still got the option at a 2-second margin.
Yeah, but there's no real undercut. There's no real undercut with the tyres on these cars, is it? Either you pit really early or you pit really late. No one ever really wants to pit in the middle. So we're probably going to see Snell and McKellar just go to like 2 laps to go now.
Or 3 to go. They'll have to go in at the end of the next lap, won't they? Actually, the way the ruling works.
We're just going to have to try to go around the... Oh, well, yeah, okay, almost just going to have to go around full stop.
Sean Doyle in P7, currently the fastest car on the racetrack. 101.6 for him the last time by, narrowly faster than Ben Snell. A lot quicker than McKellar. And a couple attempts quicker than what James Chastanoff was able to do, who's now 35 seconds away from the leaders, by the way. So it looks like his fate is set on for a P3 finish. But I suspect Sean Doyle might have a chance at a top 5. Might be able to get to the back of Scott Barton and Daniel Hederscheid on the final lap here. as Martin re-enters the race after just dropping out for a moment or two. He's now 3 laps down, unfortunately. And in comes Ben Snell.
The leader on pit lane, Alex McKellar, follows. This is probably the last lap they could legally pit anyway, potentially, without skirting it a little too close. Russell Clark as well. It's going to cleanse the field. We've got to hope, all of them going to hope that they get a good clean pit stop, because otherwise it was still too close between the top 3 for anyone to get away with a problem in the pit lane.
Snell goes with no issues. McKellar follows. It seems a big gap for Snell, actually. It's potentially a slow stop for McKellar. But they are 1 and 2 with no questions about it. Chastanoff has only just gotten ahead of Russell Clark for 3rd.
He's probably not going to do that early pit stop again, is he? At least not on a congested track like this. Just hadn't worked out for him. He just lost time and lost time and lost time all the way through the middle of the race. Snell and McKellar have had a great pit stop late and definitely rejoined well ahead of him.
Hederscheid and Barton scrapping really hard. Hederscheid's just taken away P5 from Barton at the start of this lap. Barton does not want to let him go. We think about a lunge. He's setting himself up for an exit here. Look at that. Wide on the entries. We can get the power down earlier. This will give them momentum through the final corner as we begin the final lap with race leader Ben Snell out front by a big margin, 3.9 seconds. Second, McKellar. Third, Chastanoff. Here's the battle for P5 in this race. Defensive on the inside now for Daniel Hederscheid, because Barton got the run and is looking the long way at turn 1. It's not going to work. He's going to have to rethink this.
And I hear Sean Doyle's music, because he's been the fastest on a couple laps. He's catching these guys right now on the final lap. He wishes there was another lap in this race, but there isn't.
No, there's not. It needs something to happen between these two if he's going to get up into that top 5. Been a great drive from him from 14th on the grid, but running out of time quickly. Ben Snell out front. Just missed out in race 1. No such troubles in race 2. With this victory, he will go top of the championship for sure. Snell wins race 2 from Lime Rock Park with a great win over Alex McKellar in 2nd and Chastanoff in 3rd. And there's been driver behind. Sean Doyle has got to 6th ahead of Barton.
Yeah, so he has.
Wow. Close to the line between Korn and Bush as well, it looked like there. But I just had
as well.
It was Hancock, sorry. I just had a look at the move that Doyle pulled off. It was... There you go, Korn Hancock. 0.02 of a second at the line for 8th. Doyle was monumental on the brakes into the chicane to get by Barton. Came from a long way back. So that's how he got by. In fact, he almost got alongside Hederscheid as well. Here's the full results. Snell winning by 5 seconds in the end from McKellar. There was no danger. Chastanoff was only 1.5 seconds away from McKellar in 3rd. Clark in 4th. Hederscheid in 5th. Doyle picks up that P6 from 14th on the grid, ahead of Scott Barton in 7th. And then Dennis Hancock, Tim Korn, Jeremy Bush for your top 10.
Yep, and then R. Felberg in 11th, Dean Russell in 12th, Isaac Summers in 13th, Simon Dobner in 14th, and Darren Lasue in 15th, Leon Williams in 16th, and then Stafford Marsland, Stuart Crawford, Nathan Verney with 3 pit stops. Maybe he'll tell us about that on his podcast. Peter Wilkinson in 20th, and the remainder of the field is Mark Jeffrey and Braden Martin, unfortunately, leaving and rejoining the server, and then retirements, Jason Fewens, Philip Bakatsoulis, Cameron Cousins.
Great couple of races here at Lime Rock Park, and looks like we've got a couple of interviews to get through. So let's kick things off with our race 1 winner Alex McKellar, congratulations. You've picked up 2 podiums, a race win in race 1 and just short in race 2.
Yeah, thanks guys. Look, interesting pair of races. The slowdowns played the biggest part there. I don't know if you picked up, but Ben got one on the final chicane that gave me the win, and then I picked up a couple during the second race which let him run away, so it was an interesting one.
How'd you find it out there tonight? A very short track, a decent amount of skippies out there, 25 or so, and the longer second race with varying pit strategies through a lot of lap traffic into the air as well.
Yeah, it was pretty good for the most part. It's a small track, as you say, with a lot of cars out there, so there was a bit of interesting times throughout the second one, as you say. But typically, everyone did a pretty good job, and what's a night of racing without a bit of interest anyway?
Exactly right. It's a good result for you after leaving round 1 9th in the championship. You will finish tonight's round 2nd for the round. Vaults you well up the championship order. How do you feel overall about how your night went? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, happy with tonight. Disappointed with picking up a couple of slowdowns, but yeah, after last week's shocker jump start, putting me right down the order and threatening the season overall, it was good to get a good couple of results on the board tonight.
That is fantastic to hear. Who are the people, the sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
No, just shout out to the doctor, my teammate who's missing tonight. He's away on family business, but looking forward to seeing him back next week. Thanks to Ira and the guys for putting on the series yourselves for the broadcast, guys. Looking forward to watching it back.
Cheers, thank you very much, Alex. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Alex McKellar there, coming home first and second across our 2 races tonight. And standing by with Ben Snell is David Haynes.
Yeah, exactly. Some would say choked in race 1, but you grab the bickies in race 2, and by my rudimentary maths, that gives you the championship lead.
Oh, hello to you too.
Am I wrong?
I got a slowdown. So I had 2 slowdowns in the first race, and Alex had 2 slowdowns in the second race. So really, the results are really determined by slowdowns.
What about the strategy here in race 2? I mean, quite a few people decided to pit early. It seemed like going long was actually the right move, though, because there was just no way that Chastity could undercut you guys in this one.
Yeah, for sure. Usually you pit early, so you minimise the time that you spend on like really hot rears and cold fronts, because the car feels really weird. But with this track being so hard to pass on, me and Alex and Russell were in the Discord and we're having a chat, and we decided pitting late would probably be the best strategy. That way we can just stay out in front. We've got clear track as long as we can get it. And even when you do start catching cars, it's only drips and drabs. You're not trying to pass 4 or 5 cars at once and really hurting yourself there.
And tell us about some passes, though, because a bit of 2 for 1 in race 1. Just a good run out the final corner there and picked off 2 down to turn 1.
Yeah, it's just as much as I hate the West Bend, I'm apparently really good through that chicane. So I just got a brilliant run. And I wanted to get up beside Russell and try and stay away from Chastity as much as I could, because he's a bit scary when he's behind you. And yeah, I just got such a good run. I ended up beside Alex. So I'm like, oh, while I'm here, I may as well just have a look.
That's how they get you with these 2 for 1 deals, you know. Oh, well, I'm here, I might as well. And it served you well, put you right to the front, and you had, I guess, a lot of great battles, great scraps across both races.
Yeah, for sure. So the first race was definitely more of a dogfight with Alex, whereas the second race was that more of a qualifying battle, like just trying to push times as fast as we could. And we ended up doing some really, really quick times. And a credit to Alex, like he is super fast. So to have a run with him and be battling, you know, times that are almost half a second quicker than anybody else around here is really good. It's just a shame that we didn't get Cam back this season, or Christian didn't rock up today, because it would have been interesting to see how he matched up this week.
Yeah, I hope we get Christian Perez back for some of the later rounds. It'll be interesting to see with just how strong he was in round 1. But consistency is key in the points, and you have picked up points every race so far. Championship leader, who would you like to thank?
Of course, big shout out to Ira and the crew at Ozicar for putting on the series. Thanks to you guys for putting the broadcast on. It's going to be something interesting to go back and have a watch of. And of course, big shout out to Russell and Van Diemen Racing.
Always a delight. I feel like we've ended this on a better note than we started.
Yeah, for sure.
There we go, Ryan.
Sorry, I'm distracted. I've just discovered. This is breaking news, guys. I have a fake Instagram page created for me, and yeah, I've just gotten distracted by that news. So I don't know what you said. So James Chastanoff, welcome to the booth. Yeah, James Chastanoff, welcome to the booth. You've come home with a podium there in race 2, but strategy-wise, probably wasn't the best call to pit early.
Yeah, no, in hindsight it probably wasn't. I was kind of expecting a couple of the other top guys to sort of do the same thing and then run slipstream with them, but that didn't happen, so oh well.
Yeah, so you probably won't pit early next time. But talk us through your race, how it played out from your perspective. Your 2 races tonight. How did race 1 go for you as well?
That was pretty fun, actually. There was a lot of good battling with Ben, Alex, and Russell. A couple of side-by-side outside of the uphill corner, over the hill corner. Sort of made me a bit nervous as well. Sort of questioning about what I'm actually trying to do on the first couple of laps, but it all worked out somehow. It's pretty good fun.
In terms of the championship equation for you, solid points all. How do you think it puts you in terms of your positioning leaving Lamrock Park?
A lot better than what I did first round, so I dropped a bunch of points there. So probably just slowly climbing my way back up the top. The way that the points sort of run in the series, it all rewards consistency. So just got to keep getting it on the podium for the rest of the races this season.
Alrighty, that sounds good, James. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Any sponsors?
Just want to thank Emu Sim Racing and the Banter Alliance, as well as Locked On Racing and their new podcast as well. Check that one out. Thanks to teammate Peter Wilkinson, who's jumped on board. It's been pretty good doing things with him. And yeah, thanks to you guys as well for running a good broadcast.
Thank you very much, Chassis. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Cheers. Catch you then.
James Chastanoff comes home and ends up, just saw at the end there, tied second in the championship with Alex McKellar. So, next week, the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series is back in action at the same time, Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
At Okayama.
And we are headed, of course, to the lovely racetrack of Okayama. Thank you, Jay.
I just said it too.
Of Okayama. Are going to be plenty of fun in these Skip Barbers. Plenty more to come before that on Simspeed TV. So make sure you go and check us a like. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. But from all of us here tonight, from myself, Ryan Jones, from Jake Kennedy behind the scenes, and David Haynes alongside me, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my god! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?